Let's take a look at the Hoka Bondi X. The X stands for carbon. We have a carbon plate in a maximally cushioned shoe. The official stack height is 33.28. I actually measure 31 at the heel, so about the same as the Mach 4, but your foot sits way down in the foam. So it's a $200 shoe. In terms of weight, it's not a lightweight. It comes in at 10.6 ounces, 300 grams in a US 9 approximately. Its defining feature is this extended swallowtail, which levers the landings forward and makes for a very soft landing. It is definitely a different ride, very soft and forgiving. The upper is a simple engineered mesh with some hot melt yarn. It has a gusset tongue. The fit is true to size for me without any issues. Now we're going to give you some of the pros and cons, and then my impressions from the run, and finally we're going to do a bunch of comparisons. Our written review actually has 20 comparisons. The pros from Jeff and my written review: very deep, soft, somewhat bouncy cushion, no road shock here, soft, forgiving, and very stable landings, finished off with a lively carbon impulse transition to toe off. Ultimate, long, easy, soft, comfort cruiser, we both said. In terms of the cons, and we both agreed on this, the heel is too soft and broad on the medial side for me and feels a touch back-weighted. At the price point, a lighter, more energetic, supercritical type foam is in order. And finally, due to the softness of the heel, the foam, and the weight, not quite in the versatile daily trainer category class of shoe, limiting its utility for us. And for Jeff, who's a 4-foot striker, he had difficulties getting a good fit due to the largely unstructured front of the upper, and the foot forward felt a bit ponderous. I had no such issues, but this is a very roomy, comfortable upper. So I'm inland from the ocean here on Bracket Road. Let's talk a bit about the fit of our Bondi X. So the fit is no question true to size. I have a true to size pair here. You can see maybe a touch on the long side. I don't think I would size down. There is plenty of toe box room here. The mesh is kind of unstructured but dense enough to really hold the foot. Booty tongue works well. This is my narrower foot, a little loose at the heel on my narrow foot, just about perfect on my wider left foot. You're really stable with all the outrigger, the swallowtail. You sit way down in the foam. It's a soft feel back there, very soft actually. And up front you got some snap from the plate, which really moves it along. So it's kind of a tale of two cities. We're going to talk a bit more about the ride in a few. This particular test run was just under 10-minute miles, about 8 miles in pretty flat terrain. Okay, we're going to talk about the ride, but first a little bit of Rye history. That's the Rye Harbor. In 1614, Captain John Smith mapped the Isles of Shoals, which you can see out there. Were incredible fishing grounds. Unfortunately, he probably didn't meet many of the native people because earlier contact had all killed them off by disease. But it was 1623 when first Europeans actually settled in Rye. Down the coast here, past that point. So where is our carbon plate? You can see the seam here running down all the way to the front. We're between the two layers of foam, so I assume it's embedded in there. I'm going to assume it's below because you really don't feel the plate. I will say the plate isn't felt really as being any kind of harshness, isn't felt at the heel. Beyond, I think it may stabilize a bit. It's probably pretty skinny back there. Whereas at the front, with all this soft foam, it provides a nice
impulse. Nothing too radical, so it isn't as strong an impulse as, for example, the New Balance TC, FuelCell TC, or the Craft CTM Carbon, or the racing shoes, but you can feel it as present. It's a bit similar to the New Balance FuelCell Lerato, with which I think it competes as a shoe. Now, in terms of the upper, a few more comments. Very nice, simple engineered mesh upper here. The tongue is short, but just about right in length with a bit of extra kind of covering over. The lace is immaculate, no readjusting whatsoever on my 2 runs. I've done about 15 in them. You can see we have a booty type construction or a gusset tongue. It's a thin gusset, works really well. Heel hold is excellent. The padding on the collars is moderately plush. It's just about right, you know, that it isn't overdone. In terms of this rear swallowtail, we've seen that in the Mach 4, we've seen that in the Zinal, of course the 10.9 hike. I think it's a bit exaggerated here. I'm not sure this is all necessary, although you do feel it's kind of lever arm action as you land. It just seems to add a bit too much weight for me. These very high sidewalls, which extend just, you know, just about to that line down here, really lock the foot down. I'd almost like to see a bit more of the sidewall applied to the drop to increase the drop, because I think that would get the heel moving a bit better. So who's this shoe for? What's it for? Well, if you want a premium, incredibly well cushioned ride with some real nice bounce, that's on the very much on the softer side of things, this is a really good choice. The plate adds some front excitement to it. It is super stable on its broad platform. So those, you can see the plate right through the X there, Bondi X. It is definitely softer and kind of more trainer oriented than Hoka's Carbon X. It's not as agile as their Mach 4, which is kind of the daily trainer. In some ways it feels sort of similar to the Clifton, but with a lot more. So it's maybe the long run easy days shoe complement to the Clifton. It's definitely all Hoka. $200. It's a premium offering with carbon, and it's a great new option. Now let's get into some comparisons. There are many to make here, so we're going to start off with the Brooks Aurora BL. I think that's the closest comparison in ride and also in price and in technologies.
Okay, 12 quick comparisons here, 20 in the review, so if you don't see the shoe, check that out. Okay, first, the Bondi 7, the regular Bondi. So we're even softer here in the BX, but we have the carbon plate. So it isn't as sluggish according to Jeff, but is it worth the extra $50? Well, he says absolutely maybe. They both set out to do the same thing, super easy miles with extreme ground protection. And the BX has a wider toe box and softer ride. And for him, the B7 is more stable. So next up is the Carbon X from Hoka. Yes, it's somewhat less cushioned, firmer. It's definitely more of a performance-oriented shoe. A bit flatter feeling for me, but it's definitely faster. So it's a great long run at faster paces options, while here we have the more mellow flavor of carbon from Hoka. The Magnify Nitro from Puma, so it has its supercritical nitro foam, which is livelier, but also has a firmer lower layer, much more rubber here. So the result is a more conventional riding max cushion with some forward flex, as there's no plate, at 140 versus 200. The pricing is for sure to be considered. Upper fit and volume are similar with the Bondi, slightly higher volume and with a higher toe box. The Nitro, I think, is more practical as a daily trainer. The CTM Ultra from Craft, so this is a very close comparison. The Ultra is more than an ounce lighter, but not quite as soft. It has a combination of a firmer, chemically modified EVA outer carrier, and then in the middle, you have a softer and very energetic PEBA insert. So there's no plate in the mix, as its yet firmer Carbon Ultra cousin has. It's clearly less back-weighted on a kind of a narrower platform, but is still very stable, equally as stable, I think. and it moves along quite a bit faster and more lively than our Bondi X, but with not the super soft feel. The upper is very minimal. There's no heel counter, so the fit may not be for everyone, but it sure is breathable. So it's really a faster take than the Bondi on the Max Cushion Trainer. $175 versus 200. It's a little bit less expensive, but I really appreciate its lighter. Almost 2 ounces lighter, so very much lighter, and equally as cushioned. The Aurora BL has a supercritical Loft DNA V3 foam, much more energetic. It has no plate. It relies on the transition with a kind of cross the whole midfoot to heel kind of cavity, which isn't maybe for everybody because it doesn't have quite the lively toe off of our Bondi X. But it is definitely a more exciting shoe. It's kind of a much bolder approach for your $200 because it's the same price. The rebound is much more prominent, according to Jeff. It doesn't quite have that soft feeling of the Hoka, but you do move along better in it. Wildly outer space in our Brooks, we moved to the FuelCell Lerato, $225, a much more conservative looking and more conservative riding. It has the latest fuel cell foam, which is in the RC Elite 2, so it's soft, very energetic, but it joins with a very copious and far more durable outsole than our Bondi X, and a literally bomb-proof upper with a very solid hold. So it has a smooth, more traditional ride flow, whereas the Bondi X is softer, kind of maybe you might say too soft. They both have a more velo vibe, with Lerato more conventional, and its heel and front carbon impulse more smoothly integrated with the foam, and its big outsole providing more response. The Invincible Run from Nike has the Zoom X, which is the same foam as in the Vaporfly, so it's super energetic with a lot of energy return. Very soft in this shoe because you have barely any outsole, you have no plate, you don't even have a sock liner board, so it's all energy from the Zoom X. As such, it's a bit difficult to control for some, especially if you pronate a bit, but it's a very energetic ride overall. In terms of the uppers, well, the weak point really, the Invincible Run, is its upper, kind of overbuilt. The Bondi X really outdoes it. Although if you're a 4-foot striker like Jeff, you may appreciate the little bit better hold in the front. The Fresh Foam More V3 from New Balance, they're clearly their most cushioned shoe and a direct competitor. No plate here, but as Jeff says, they're both very big, very soft, and very clearly designed for easy runs. The Bondi X is a little softer, which is saying something, but I think the Fresh Foam More is more stable. And I say, I would add that the More 3, not quite as easy to run very slow as the Bondi X, doesn't quite have that stable heel, with its sweet spot faster places up on the midfoot. While it has no plate up front, I found it more dynamic up front actually, likely due its firmer foams rebound. The Adidas Adizero Boston 10, which is clearly firmer, less stable at the heel and faster, and actually has more stack height. It's much more up-tempo in feel than the Bondi X, much more. It's a real study in max cushion contrast, with the 10 clearly the performance faster paces to daily training option, and Bondi X the easy days choice. It's priced way below the Bondi X, with one could argue yet more new and innovative tech, including the Light Strike foam layer up front and under the foot. It's not quite the easygoing comfort as it is a pure performance trainer. Skechers took a different approach to very soft midsoles and high stack heights in the Max Road 5, incorporating an H-shaped plate at the front that stabilized what was kind of a shaky situation, if very energetic. So this is a shoe that is 2 full ounces lighter with nearly equivalent cushion stack. So it's a much faster shoe and a much more kind of energetic shoe. However, for me, the geometry of the Skechers at the heel, no outrigger, as you, if you will, a big bevel. If you're back on the heels and going slow, it's not nearly as stable as the Bondi X is. Both massively cushioned. The Endorphin Shift from Saucony has firmer Power Run TPU EVA blend. There's no question it's firmer. It is more stable with it, that heel cup, extended heel cup, and has a more distinct final roll to toe off. It's not as pleasant and soft to ride, but it's more versatile for many paces and distances as a trainer. And Jeff says the rocker geometry gives a great toe off, making the shoe excel on easy days as well as medium efforts as well. Yes, the Ultraboost 21 from Adidas. I am sure that Hoka was looking at it and came up with a much softer, much gentler approach to the giant shoe and the overall design. The UB21 is considerably heavier. It's kind of strangely harsh and mechanical from all its plastic underfoot, and as an awkward, kind of more complicated upper. The Bondi X is softer and bouncier, more comfortable, and for me, smoother running. Although, even with all that weight, the Ultraboost might be able to go a bit faster, but it isn't nearly as pleasant. Jeff says the UB21 has plenty of material under the foot, but it just doesn't have the super soft quality the Hoka has. Thank you very much for watching. Please check out our full multi-tester review that Jeff and I did over at RoadTrailRun. We have not only the 12 comparisons here, but actually 8 more and all the details. If you like our channel, please consider subscribing. We'd appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching.